Hey, what's up, guys? It's Cody here from Tipsy Rippers. Welcome to the channel. I appreciate you stopping by and really stay in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You'll see more content like this. We are going to be talking about the Ultra View slider today. We are mainly going to be talking about how to sight it in, maybe a little bit of tips and tricks, and how easy it is to sight in. So I was actually supposed to do this video and I was unable to. So William took the reins of it, and he went up kind of blind. And you're gonna see me throw a little bit of tidbits in there that I would recommend on sighting in a slider sight that I seen, but from my own experience, and they kind of all correspond with each other. All these tips. So I'm gonna add a little bit here and there. You might hear an overlay of my voice, and you might hear me just come in with a little clip like this. And I'm really excited to bring this video to you guys. They did a great job. I really appreciate everyone who helped. Mike let us use his sight in the previous, and then he's in here shooting in, showing how to sight it in. And well, without further ado, let's just get into it. And don't forget, to check out our other video on if the Ultra View slider was worth $600. Check it out. I'll leave the link in the description. You guys decide if this sight is worth the $600 or something you're interested. And if you do get this sight, might be a great video so you can reference to know how to sight it in or maybe what not to do. I don't know. Anyways, see ya.
Okay guys, here today we're going to show you guys how to sight in the new Ultra View sight that we just did a review video on. We're going to kind of show you step by step how to get it all sighted in with the different sight tapes and the different steps you got to take to get this sighted in. It's a little bit tricky and we're not really sure how to do it either. We're all new to it, but we're going to get it figured out and let you guys know. Okay, so the first thing you do is put this sight tape on. The practice one at 20 yards. So as you can see, the pointer is a whole way up here, but you kind of can't see it in the video that great. But the pointer's up here, so we need to move this whole plate with these Allen screws up so it lines up with this right here for the 20-yard pin. Okay, so he had to take out both the screws here and down there. And as you can see, there's a couple holes here. Down here, there's a couple different holes you can use. So we had to take them both out and slide it up. It needed that much adjustment. I know the camera's not focusing. It needed that much adjustment to line that up. And then it probably requires two people to hold it still so you can get both the screws back in and get it lined up. So he's gonna go ahead and shoot it now. So that's what you wanna do after you line the middle pin up with the 20 yards. Get it sighted in at 20 yards on your middle pin with this sight tape, this test sight tape here. And then once that's sighted in, you want to move this pointer so this aligns to it to 20 yards. So that would be middle pin. That would be your middle pin at 20 yards. So then we're going to go ahead and shoot it again, right?
Yep.
And then
20 just to make sure, and then we're going to back out to 60.
And then this is going to tell us which sight tape that we're going to use, right? Okay.
So guys, I just want to make a couple recommendations when sighting in a slider sight, no matter what sight you're doing. I guess whether or not it could be 5-pin, 3-pin, not even a slider, but something good to reference is shoot it at about 7-10 yards in front of the target, just so you're not shooting over your target, so you're not losing arrows, you're not breaking arrows. Something good to reference. If you're shooting about, I'm just going to say, I might not know it's dialed in, but if you're shooting about
1 to 3 inches below,
I'd say you're pretty good to go back to shoot at 20 yards. Adjust your sight, etc. If you're shooting
about 1 to 3 inches below
where you're aiming at, back up to 20, you're good. So another thing that I'd reference is get this dialed in as possible. Shoot it as much as possible. I know there's a lot of human error that can come in, but 20 yards, you want to get it dialed in. 100%. You know, you want to make your windage adjustments, you want to make your, you know, your up and down adjustments just perfect. You want to make sure that you're hitting a nice group, because it's going to make all that easier as you fall backwards, you know, so as you're going further out to that 60 yards.
Okay, so this is after he got his 20 yards shot in and figured out on the test sight tape.
Like I said, guys, make sure you get this dialed in. 20 yards. I like to shoot at the same hole. Some of these guys like to shoot other ones so they don't break arrows. So you can do that. I like to shoot at the same hole so I know my grouping is in the same spot. Because if I'm moving different targets, I might be, you know, moving it left or right, or it might be left or right. And if I'm moving to a different target, I feel like I don't have a good assessment of where I'm hitting. So you can do it however you want, but you want to get that dialed in right at 20 yards, 100%. Make sure your grouping's as tight as possible, because if you need to make your windage adjustments, I'd be making it now, so then it's not as far off as when you go back to 60 yards, or, you know, 30, 40, 50, etc. So definitely do that. I highly recommend that.
So they kind of cheated. What they did is, he knew he was shooting a 14 scale before up there, and he turned his poundage up a little bit and got lighter arrows. So they're going off of the 12 scale now, right? So they lined up the 20, and they kind of went down to the 60, and they rolled his pin down to about where the 60 is. And we're gonna try that outside of 60 yards.
You figure this is 60 yards, but it's shooting a little bit faster, so it's 10 yards closer, but a little bit slower time.
All right, guys, so something else I want to notate for anybody who's never used a slider or doesn't have a slider to reference to, yeah, this is nice so you can kind of correspond it, but they're also going to be different because, you know, not each sight tape is set up for the same application or from the same, you know, company. So it will get you close, but you're definitely just going to want to, if you don't have that experience or you never done it before, I definitely recommend just going from 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 and just slightly adjusting your sight, so then when you're stepping back, you're just going to 30, and so you don't lose arrows. I did this plenty of times. I lost a lot of arrows, or I damaged arrows, or I just couldn't get that 60, especially when it's your first time, never shot 60 yards. It can be very intimidating. So just, you know, take it slow. Even if you want to do 5 yards, adjust it a little bit here and there. And something I can say is, if you think you're shooting, you know, if you think you're going to shoot, I used to aim for the middle of the bag, but I'd like to actually aim a little bit lower, because a lot of times I'd be hitting high, and depending on how your target's set up, if you don't have a back wall, you're going to be shooting over it. So I'd rather shoot under it, depending, you know, so you don't lose your arrows at least. If you hit low, that's fine, then you can adjust it from there, but move back and slightly adjust your sight up and down. And, you know, I would shoot a bunch of arrows. You're going to be shooting a lot just so you can get consistency. It's not as important as 30, 40, 50, but it might be nice so you can adjust your windage, so then when you get to the 60, it's not going to be that far off.
Okay, so as you can see from the video, he has these two here. These are at 60 yards, and remember that you're using your middle pin on all these on your 20 yard, and then when you come to 60 yard. So these two, he shot first, and then he adjusted up and down here just a little bit, but not left and right yet. So you kind of got to play with it as you're sighting it in for up and down, you know, kind of go based off of where you're hitting at. Okay, so if you look, like we said earlier, it's hard. I mean, you can see it better on the phone, but like with your regular eyes, you can't see it. So we were double checking it inside. We thought we needed the number 12 sight tape, but if you look, I keep having to focus it even. It's like so hard to see. It's about past the 15. So we're right in that range. So pretty much all we did was double check ourselves, because that's supposed to be the corresponding sight tape number that you use. So we're gonna go ahead and double check it and make sure we're right. So now we gotta adjust the windage. So in the manual here, it says 2 to unlock the windage adjustment, pull windage dial out away from the sight until it clicks, which we kind of showed you on the other video, which we'll show you again. Rotate windage dial clockwise to move the scope to the right, moving point of impact left, and then rotate windage dial counterclockwise to move the scope left, moving point of impact right. So it's kind of opposite, but we'll go out and show you. So he's gonna go ahead and adjust his windage here, which we showed you this in the review video. You just kind of pull that out. He's gonna rotate it, moving his windage.
So one last quick recommendation I would give here is just make some micro adjustments to your windage as you're getting to that 60-yard mark. I'd shoot roughly around a grouping size of a pie paper plate. I think that'd be sufficient enough whenever you're going to correspond the sight tapes with what's on your test sight tape. I definitely recommend, shooting as much arrows as you can. They didn't get to show it in the video just because it would have made for a long video, but they did continue to shoot on until they're a little bit closer.
So as you can see, the last ones from the video were over in here, and he moved it a total of 7 clicks counterclockwise to make the impact to the right. So he's hitting way more to the right now, as you can see. Okay, so not lastly, you take these 2 screws out, and you take the cartridge out of the front, okay, and then you sit it face down on the sight tapes. And then you can line up, which is hard to see here with a little focus, you can line up your pins in there. Because right now you're just sighting in this yellow one, your middle one. The bottom one is a floater pin. So you're just using the middle, I keep bumping the bow here. You're just using that middle yellow one to sight in for right now. And then you can line up on your sight tape the 2 other ones to correspond with them. Because if you can see here, the arrows, pointers, almost are right in line with them.
Get them easily. Yeah.
All right, so we have it set up. We went out and shot it again. We're hitting pretty good at 60. We figured out we needed sight pin or sight tape number 14. So now we're going to adjust our 20 and 30 to sight tape 14. So we took the cartridge out. Sorry, kind of slacking. You undo these 2 screws, and then the cartridge pops out, just like so. And then what we're going to do is we're going to line up our pins we're going to set the middle fixed pin at 30, and then we're going to move our top pin to 20, and our third pin, our bottom pin, to 40. Laying them on the scope and adjusting these little Allen keys adjustments in here. We're just going to slide it down. This is just going to get it close. Should be good once we get it lined up based off of that, and then we should be good to go.
$20 and $30 is good. Just go get the 40 up.
See what we're doing here? That middle pin is fixed. That's the one we sighted in to 20 and 60 and got the tape figured out. Now we're just laying this cartridge on, and we're moving the top and bottom pins to 20 and 40, which should line it up based off the tape, and we should be good to go, just like so. So what we did is we went ahead and got our sight tape on, the number 14, like we said earlier. Then what we did was we had put the middle yellow pin originally to 20 yards, because that's what it was lined up on the sight-in tape. And then we moved it down to 30 because we want our 3 pins to be 20, 30, 40. Now what we need to do to get these pins lined up, as you can see, the 20 and 40 are off, is we need to adjust these little screws to line them up, and then we will be good to go and start shooting. So we got them lined up, 20, 30, 40, as you can see on their respective marks. The one thing I will say, even doing the pins up here in these, they're very touchy. So a little movement goes a long ways. It would have been nice if they were more like a micro adjust, where you kind of loosen them and, you know, as you turn them, it moves it one way or another. I understand why they did it this way, but it's kind of a pain to get it to move just a little bit. But we got it sighted in. We're going to shoot a couple more times to make sure everything's good, and should be done.
Okay, so do you think you would buy this sight again, like for the money and everything?
Yeah, I think just starting out, I would. I mean, my goal was to buy the scope anyways, and then they dropped this one, so I figured I might as well just get the whole kit. It's a lot fancier than I'm used to. I'm used to like my 5-pin trophy ridge, you know, sighting it in, so it's a little bit more thinking and stuff, but I think once I get it fully set up and used to it, I think it'll be nice with the 3-pin with the floater pin, and still having the adjustable, you know, single pin to shoot longer ranges.
And then you can get different cartridges if you change your mind down the road.
My plan is to get a single pin for this to have for 3D season, and indoor season, and then use the 3-pin for hunting.
Yeah, so it's almost like multiple sights all in one.
Without having to change anything. I think that's why they have that middle pin as the fixed pin, is because I think when you go to a single pin, it lines up with your middle pin.
So it's already sighted in, so to
speak. Should be
speak.
sighted in.
And you said you were going to get the axle landslide, and like you're kind of already going to spend that much money, so you said about $60 more you'd get the whole setup anyways.
Yeah, I was planning on, like I said, I was planning on getting the scope. I was looking at the Excel landslide. Right at the time I was thinking about buying one, they dropped this, so I figured I'd just get the whole setup. Had some nice features I liked with the 3 pins, the 3 pins on the sight itself. So yeah, it's a little bit more, but you know, they're fancier, you know, nice carrying case if I want to go anywhere with it.
And as for like, I know you said like the 2nd and 3rd axis and all that. You kind of just had like a local bow guy do that for you?
Yeah, so I took it over to a buddy that works on bows. He set up my 1st, 2nd, 3rd axis. He really liked that it had the micro adjust. He can loosen all these up, and then he can just slowly adjust it with the micro adjust on the side, which is the first one he had seen, so he liked that. Took him maybe 5-10 minutes to get everything while we were talking in the process, so it was a pretty easy process. So.
Okay, guys. Well, there you have it. We got it pretty much sighted in today. So that's pretty much the first video on sighting in the new UV slider.